All right, members of the press, now that they are all here on stage for you, please, can we have any questions? And if you'd be so kind as to identify yourself before you ask. Ernest, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Ernest from New Paper in Singapore. Jenson, this question is for you. Tell us about the range of emotions that you went through in the lull period before you finally reached the podium again in Italy.
Yeah. You mean the races before weren't so good? Well, after my last victory, which is in Turkey, quite a long time ago now, we sort of struggled with the car a little bit for balance and also getting the tyres working. So that period was a little bit frustrating that we couldn't, we knew we had a good car and that we were looking for the reasons why we weren't competitive. But the worst part was sort of Valencia, where I had a tough race, and Spa, where I crashed. So those for me are the worst two races, and it was very frustrating to be in that situation, because in Spa it could have been a great race and we could have picked up lots of good points. So a little bit frustrating, but I knew that I just had to try and stay cool, and we would be back on track. The car was working very well, and in Monza I didn't put a foot wrong. Rubens did a great job as well, and he was able to win the race, and I was close behind him. But for me, that was a good result. I was back on the podium, 8 points, which moved me quite a bit further ahead of the two Red Bulls. And now my main competitor is my teammate.
Yes.
John O'Brien, Reuters. I'd like to ask the drivers, coming back this year, do you think there'll be any overtaking? Do you think the race will be a bit more competitive than it was last year, or will it be more down to strategy? And like you had great strategy in Monza, which won the race for you guys. Is that going to come in this year?
When did you start, Lewis?
I personally haven't really seen the updates on the circuit, but I know they haven't really changed too much. So it's quite a downforce dependent circuit. So I'm probably less likely there's going to be much more overtaking than there was last year. But some cars do have curves, so definitely would be more than we had last year maybe. But I think the strategy, depending on safety cars, is only our second year here, so we don't really have a good understanding of how many safety cars there may be here, but there could be 1, 2, 3, who knows. So I'm sure strategy will definitely come into it.
Yeah, overtaking is obviously what we all love to see. Street circuits is always difficult. But here, I think there were a few overtaking moves last year, compared to sort of Valencia, which was another new street circuit, and obviously Monaco. But we have to wait and see. Every race is different, and there's always so many different scenarios. But yeah, strategy is important, and for us, not having KERS, it makes the strategy even more important. We need to know what the KERS cars are doing, or try and read what they're doing. Because if we'd gone short, for example, short on fuel in Monza, we wouldn't have won the race, because we would have been overtaken at the start by KERS cars, and that would have been it. So we went for a longer strategy, which worked for us, and that's exactly why we finished first and second.
Yes, Patwan.
Hi, Pawan Singh from Channel News Asia. They are predicting rain this weekend now. How will that pan out for the teams?
They predicted rain last year, thunderstorms. It came during the night, which was quite good, sort of 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So we didn't see any of the rain ourselves. We're in bed, or on our way home. I think rain would be pretty interesting here. Rain at any street circuit's pretty crazy. So I'm hoping that it's dry, but if it's wet, we'll make the best out of it.
Lewis, you want to add to that? Okay. I'd just like to ask Mr. Hamashima's view on that, because he is the man with tires, so maybe he can add something to it if it rains.
If it rains?
Yeah.
Did you bring the rain tires? Did you bring them?
So unfortunately, we didn't use before the wet tire in here. So I hope both of the driver are using well, and please let's see our good performance for spectators.
Okay. All right. Yes, Paichu.
Hi, I'm Sylvia from the New Paper. Louis, how many appearances have you made since you touched down
I think I've had. Chris, can you help me? I had about three or four the first day.
How many appearances has Lewis had since he touched down?
Maybe 10, 11.
Around 10.
Around 10. How many have you had,
Quite
Jenson?
similar to me.
There's that rivalry.
I went to the crepe store this morning, got a pancake and had some waffles, and then I came here. So I'm quite happy with our PR so far this weekend.
Yes.
Hi, Jenson. How would you describe your relationship with Lewis? I mean, both of you are Brits. They're about to take over his crown. Is there any jealousy on the part on and off the grid?
We've got 4 races left yet. It's not over yet. Lewis had a 17-point lead in 07? 18-point lead. 2 races to go and lost it by a point. So anything can happen. But yeah, I think most drivers on the grid have got a lot of respect for each other. We're all doing a sport where we're all very, very competitive. And to be able to race in Formula One, you're one of the best drivers in the world. So we have mutual respect, I would say, and obviously what Lewis has achieved in his very short period and time in Formula One is exceptional, winning the World Championship in his second season. See, I got a bit of respect for you, I'd say. Yeah. Well done.
The feeling's mutual.
Great. Another question. Yes, sir.
Hi, Yohin from MediaCorp. Could you just talk us through a bit about your, the sporting rivalry between the two drivers, and would you be keen, if the idea to have another race in the triathlon came up again? I know that didn't happen last year.
Well, I can just say that we haven't actually really done much racing together, me and Jenson. Last year he was at the back, I was at the front, and this year I was at the back and he was at the front. So we've never really had the time to really have a good battle.
I thought Monza was going to be the first time we were going to be on the podium together.
I really, really wanted to race with him. I really wanted to have a good race with him, and I put it in the walls, thinking myself much a chance. So he did a great job in Monza, and I have to say, and I was very impressed to see the time he did in the triathlon recently, and I don't expect to get anywhere near that. So I'll leave him to that, and I'll stick to the racing.
We're last year it was just a bit of banter, really. I couldn't challenge Lewis on the circuit, so I had to have a bit of fun elsewhere. So that was it, really.
Yes, Part 1, go ahead. Part 1 needs another question right there at the back.
This question is for both of the drivers. Now, how much of a damage has the latest race fixing scandal involving Renault done to the sport?
I'm an individual. I can't speak for the sport and for the spectators. But it's obviously sad, but it's the good thing is that it's over and done with now, and we can move on. And for us, the most important thing is good racing, and I think there's been some great racing this season, last season, the year before, and that's what I care about. What happens off the circuit is down to the people that are involved, but what goes on the circuit has been fantastic over the last couple of years, and long may it continue.
Lewis agrees. Yes.
Hi, Jenson. Andy from Autocar ASEAN. Have you got a contract for next year yet? If not, could you tell us a bit more about what's going on?